Yo, the tweet cap of the day is what? That's what I ask. But it's another edition of the tweet cap. It is late August, and a lot of stuff happened. The president of the United States got a mugshot. So we have to talk about the big things happening on the internet, and we're going to do
Yes.
it right now. And just for a programming note, we usually release tweet caps on Tuesdays. Starting next week, we release them on Friday. So a true tweet cap, and we will do that throughout the fall and winter. But for tonight's show, where we talk about the president having a mugshot, former president, we have Ryan Page here. What's up, Ryan?
How's it going, Matt?
Oh, man, I have a lot to talk about with you. And let us get to the bottom of this. The first story is the 45th president of the United States. Let me say that again. The 45th president of the United States was in a lot of trouble this past weekend in the state of Georgia. So I have it right here. A federal judge has set a March 4th, 2024 trial date for Donald Trump on charges relating to his alleged efforts to overturn the 2020 election. And this resulted to him getting a mugshot along with a lot of other, what's the word I should use?
18,
Conspirators.
18 people were also charged as co-conspirators. Yeah.
Look at that. You know what MAGA stands for?
No, Matt, what?
My ass got arrested.
A couple times.
Right
Yeah.
now, to be fair, I saw that at a Atlanta on an Atlanta graffiti piece.
Oh,
That
someone
was
painted that
funny.
out there?
Yeah,
That's
MAGA,
pretty funny.
my ass got arrested. But yo, Ryan, now, do you think there would be a day that a president of the United States would be arrested? And I'm going to make this in as simple terms as possible. Arrested, allegedly broke the law. The president of the United States got in
Yeah.
trouble. And I know there have definitely been many other cases that we probably aren't aware of or know about where the president did something bad. Watergate, for example, but
Oh, we
that
know
did
about
get
that one.
exposed. But the thing is, the president of the United States got arrested. There were former president of the United States got arrested. There were people cheering. There were people upset. There were people having all types of emotions.
Yeah.
And you know, we can make this political. We can make this fundamental. But the thing here, and I'll just keep emphasizing, I can't believe there's a day where there is a president's mugshot, and for the rest of eternity, that'll be a thing. Who is the first and only president to have a mugshot while post office? I'm not sure if the other 44, if they were in trouble. I'm not sure. Maybe there is.
No, that I know of, no president has ever had this happen to them before. No previous president has ever had this happen to them before.
Yeah, before or after.
That's what I mean. Yeah, before. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know
Like
of
if
any
somebody
presidents that
got
had
did
a
something
criminal
bad and
record either. No, I don't. I don't think anyone who's ever been elected president had been arrested before. In fairness, Donald Trump hadn't been arrested before.
Mhm.
So I don't think that anyone has been arrested before becoming president. Trump has the opportunity to do both. To be one of the only former presidents to be arrested, and then be one of the only people elected to serve as president after having been arrested. As you know, he's running for the Republican nomination in 2024, doing quite well in that primary. I think I want to. You could tell me if you're wrong, and we could switch tact right here in the middle of this. I think I want to try and do this without getting too political. Because listen, if you love this guy, and then this is you don't care about our opinion, and frankly, if you hate this guy, you don't care about our opinion.
Mhm.
And if you're somewhere in the middle, maybe you care, but there's a million other things you can be listening to. One thing about this story that I think is so interesting, and it kind of fits in with us being the tweet cap talking about what happens on Twitter and whatnot, is he tweeted for the first time since the January 6th, incident, the riots at the Capitol.
Ooh,
Uh,
what happened there?
well, he got
I'm
kicked off of Twitter, and he got reinstated by Elon, but He's doing his truths. He's truthing all over the place. So I guess he didn't want to come back to Twitter, but he posted a picture of his mugshot and a link to his campaign site. And so he is clearly seeing this as a bit of a moment for him. Becoming a cultural phenomenon more so than he frankly already was as a celebrity and whatnot. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
probably hard to disagree with his assessment, whether you like the guy or not. This has been everywhere. People have, people on both sides have turned this into t-shirts, right? The memes are everywhere. Like, regardless, every single person in the country is aware that this has happened. And I mean, that makes sense. He's the former president. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so you asked at the beginning, like, did you ever think this would happen? No. No, because growing up, I never thought a president would do anything to get arrested. And then I got a little older, realized they probably all have done something that could get them arrested, but they'd never be, silly enough to do it so openly that they'd get caught. And then after Trump came into office and he definitely did all these things and definitely did them openly enough to get caught, I said, well, he's still a former president. There's just no way he's going to get arrested, no matter what. I kept moving the goalposts. I was like, oh, there's no way. But we're here. We've certainly found ourselves here. And I think that again, it's just crazy to see the entire internet collectively attached to something, and they don't all agree. It's not like this is not a coming together moment by any stretch of the imagination. But I think genuinely, like that picture, like kids in schools are going to see that picture one way or another. Frankly, one way or another. Like that picture is like literally, you talk about history being made. Like that's Nixon in the helicopter, right? That's that was a historic picture, and it's
Yeah.
people again regardless of why. Either he goes to jail after this, or he gets elected president. Those are really the only two options. He either is in charge again, or ends up in a jail cell. I guess maybe neither happens. I
Mm.
don't know. I'm not entirely sure how this will all work out. I'm not a lawyer, but when you look at it and you just see, this is it weird for me to say it was instantly iconic? Do you agree or
No, the
disagree? Right,
former president of the
right,
United States has a mugshot
yeah,
forever.
forever,
No, I
yeah,
don't think I don't think that's
and
over
that's why,
exaggerating being dramatic. No.
I wanted to take it out of like politics context because I'm using
That's
words iconic, and a lot
exactly.
of times iconic is like a positive thing. I'm not saying positive or negative. Just factually speaking, that will be an icon that people will touch upon forever from now on. If it never happens again, it will only be, frankly, more iconic that it happened just the one time. Um, but yeah, forever now, people are going to have that picture. They're going to have an opinion about that picture, and that picture is going to, sum up the entirety of like American politics from like 2015
Yeah.
to who knows when. I wish I could say 2024, but I don't know. We might not be out of this period yet, but certainly since 2015, like that picture is going to be like the picture that represents from 2015 till some undisclosed end time that we haven't reached yet.
Yeah.
And that's
That
crazy to think about because it just showed up one day. They had the lead up to it with all the other people, and he went last because, of course, he did. Um, and then
that
the videos that day. Did you watch any of the videos online that day?
I did not know.
He had like, oh god, I felt like he had like 40 cars in his motorcade. I didn't count them all, but he rolled up to this jail with in his motorcade, and it was huge. There was police escorting him everywhere. Like he made this thing huge for himself because I think he knew. You know what I mean? I'd like to
Yeah.
think he knew that no matter what, like win or lose, this is going to be something that people remember me for. I don't think he's got
This is
personally.
definitely bigger than You're Fired, and that was pretty big in its time.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's already done this. He's already been like culturally relevant in the entire like zeitgeist, right?
Yeah,
You're
since at least the
fired and The
80s.
Apprentice, exactly. Yeah, not
Part
forever,
of
but
the
like
deal.
yeah,
Well, yeah.
he had his moment back then, right? And now he's got another one, which is crazy to think about. And crazy to think again about the circumstances around this because we may genuinely never see this happen again. I know,
You'd like to
again, some
think
folks think that it'll happen right away,
right
or this
away.
or this will be the new normal that everyone will just. But
The new
I don't believe.
normal.
Yeah, I don't
Why
believe
are we
that.
even having that conversation to think
Oh,
this is
people already
okay?
say we have to arrest Biden, and you know what I mean. Like,
I mean, yeah, but
right? That's what I'm saying.
I'm
Like,
saying, by the way, yeah, I'm saying that people are saying that, but like,
no, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I'm
unbelievable.
saying, yeah, and I'm saying like I don't know if that will happen. I don't think it will. I don't think that, and even you know what I mean. Like I don't think we're gonna go through a long period where the president just gets arrested by as soon as the next party takes over. I really don't. I think this could genuinely be the only one ever, and
You'd
that's
like to
just
think.
crazy to think about, right? Well, yes, but it's still crazy to think about because we watched it happen. Something that people are going to learn as like a factoid, um, in like fifth grade or sixth grade or whatever is going to be. We watched it happen, and the internet again blew up. But this has been the story for. I still see those pictures. Threads just got those pictures because Threads is behind Twitter by like a couple of days. So last week Twitter blew up with it. This week it's all over Threads.
What do you think the person behind that camera, like the mugshot photographer, he's like, wow, I'm about to take a picture nobody's gonna forget ever.
Probably. That's probably exactly what they thought. And I mean, that they had the advanced team come and like check the lighting, and I mean, I'm sure he was already done up with makeup and whatever. Like this
Just
was not.
imagine also the Secret Service. Like we're supposed to protect the president. This is going to be we are the first Secret Service team to escort the president to
To
get
jail.
his mugshot in jail. These are
What
the
if he
people.
goes to jail? What if he ends up in jail?
So yeah, well, so if
Do they go with him?
2020, yeah, I don't know. How does that work?
Do
Because
they go with
they
him?
shouldn't. Are they gonna go hang out in the commissary with him and
In Georgia anyway? And again, I'm not a lawyer. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking he's for sure going to jail or there's no way he's going to jail, I don't know. I couldn't even begin to tell you. But I will say that I do know that apparently in Georgia, if he's convicted, it's a minimum of 5 years. Like, can you imagine? So you work for the president of the United States, a former president, right?
Mhm.
And so you're the Secret Service. They get it for life. You have to sit in jail for 5 years. Your job for 5 years
Is
is
go
to
to
sit in a
jail?
prison
Make sure he's
for
okay.
5 years. Right? Yeah. Do they have to go in the cell? Can they just stay outside the
I
cell?
don't think the founding fathers thought about this when they were
They
summing up the
definitely,
Constitution.
definitely did not. And they certainly didn't think that the picture, should it ever happen, would go wide for freaking everyone on the planet to see.
Who can say they are the very? I guess it would be the whatever county he was arranged in,
Fulton, I think.
who actually released the photo. Who was the first one on X
Who
that
saw
put it
it?
on? Who was the
Yeah.
first one to actually put it on into the internet?
I don't know
Here
if
you
we'll ever
go.
know. I don't know if we'll ever know.
Like
I'm sure it was
throwing
put.
meat to a bunch of animals.
Yeah, it was definitely a feeding frenzy as soon as the picture came out. Again, both sides. Everyone tackled it instantly and started spinning it into what they wanted it to be. Um, and like I said, this is just crazy. And I think this will end up being a slightly news heavier episode. We talked about that earlier. This is the biggest piece of news probably of the year. Definitely of the year.
It's gonna be on the timeline pod for
Yeah.
sure.
What else? What's bigger than this? Nothing. Nothing is actually bigger than this.
Yeah. It's just insane. And it was during a somber weekend for some if you're a fan of wrestling.
Yes,
And
I did want to mention that.
that was a weird vibe there. And past over this past weekend, the wrestling world lost Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk gone too soon. And this happened around the same time
Hmm.
this picture was released. And I don't understand that's for a specific audience that might be weird for, but yeah, it was a weird weekend for
It
that and
definitely, I
all
mean, it
that.
definitely kept me occupied. I'll say specifically, not that obviously Terry Punk's passing is also tragic. Terry Funk was 89 years old, I believe, or something like
Hmm.
that, or older. Wrestling for 50 years. Absolute legend. But Bray Wyatt was an active wrestler, 36 years old. Young kids, a wife and whatnot. So, uh, because this game happened the same day, uh,
Yeah,
it
right.
was, I was focusing on, Wyatt and the wrestling community and their family. And I almost thought that I was going to miss this, miss this kind of wild um, story, because
Right.
I don't know why I thought it would go away in a couple of days. I really did, though. And it hasn't. It's still around. I feel like I caught it just as hard as I would have had I been waiting for it to drop
Mm-hmm.
that day. And I wasn't. Like I said, I didn't see the picture until Friday night, actually. I
Really?
think you maybe sent it to me earlier than that, but I honestly didn't. Like, I barely even registered it because I was still, in that other mode.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, very, very sad, the other mode. But yeah, this, I mean, not that this is much better. In terms of sad, obviously, different kind of sad or whatever, but not ideal.
Not ideal, not ideal. But definitely our thoughts and prayers to the Rotunda family for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, in just a few minutes, just a couple moments there, Bray Wyatt was an entertainer. He was a storyteller, a true creative mind, and it's fair to say he was a genius at his craft. And though the world will sorely miss him, his impact will really live forever. And a true original we will not forget. And he was awesome. Bray
Yeah.
Wyatt really was awesome. And I understand the end he wasn't around as much due to health issues, due to WWE being dumb creatively. But when he was there, he made the most of his time. And I think that is important to recognize, especially with him.
Yeah, I think the biggest missed opportunity potentially in certainly in modern wrestling, possibly in wrestling overall, is the year that we lost because he was fired from the company.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, at the time, it maybe didn't feel that way because there's always the future, but the future's never promised, as we unfortunately all learned or were reminded of, I guess. And so, given how it all played out and what happened, that 1 year where they got rid of him, they can never get it back. Obviously, he can never get it back, but we, the fans, can never get it back, and that's a real shame because I think that, I mean, every second that they could have gotten out of Bray, out of Wyndham is his real name, would have been something that fans would remember. Um, but we have the moments that he did have, which is obviously great. And if we'll do another wrestling podcast at some point soon. I'm sure he'll come up. He didn't come up a lot in a lot of what we've done, which is a real shame because he wasn't active for most of our podcast's time. I listened back
Mm-hmm.
to pretty much all of our wrestling podcasts went that day, and we every once in a while he came up, but he just wasn't an active member of the roster for most of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm
I
sure he'll
really
come up again.
wish I really wish we had the show for Hell in a Cell. Was it
Or Firefly
19?
Funhouse, or Firefly Funhouse too. We didn't have it for that
Absolutely.
either. That was the year before we started the show.
Exactly.
The
That's
next WrestleMania we did.
right. Yes.
Yep.
And yeah, the first one post COVID. But yeah, it's like I said, I thought he would have been great part of the horror film community too, because he really had some innovative things that no one thought of. What was a fiend? I don't
I
know
mean,
what
it
it was.
was, and it
It was
was
his own.
connected, and he connected it to everything. Nothing was unconnected.
Yeah.
It was circulating again. I'd forgotten about this, but Bray Wyatt, the original character, told a story to his flock in one promo
Mm-hmm.
about the Fiend. It was a story character out of it. So yeah, he was just, the long term storytelling. There's no one who's done it even as close as good to Bray Wyatt in professional wrestling, and he had to do it against. He had to do it despite his employment, not because of it.
Right.
So it's really really unfortunate, obviously, but yeah,
But never forget.
never forget.
So
No.
yeah, never forget. So I think this is a good way to help lighten the mood again,
Yes.
is to show the internet's favorite crazy girl, the Tiffany Gomez post of the week. She is wearing hats. Look at her wearing a hat.
I
Hat on
don't.
girls. Hashtag happy weekend.
I just can't.
638,000 views.
I just can't with
10,000
this.
likes.
I don't. I don't want to believe. All right. I don't want to believe that she faked the whole thing. But that is almost the only logical explanation. That she scripted the whole thing. That this was the plan. Because what she said on the plane does not make any sense. It's not explained by the story, right? No one has said they saw her like slurring her words, and like no one has claimed she was drunk other than the fact that she must have been because of the way she was screaming about nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like no one saw her at a bar beforehand that I've seen. What she said happened. She barely said what happened, but what other
Yeah.
people reported happened has nothing to do with anything that she said. I just I don't want to believe that she scripted the whole thing, that she wrote it down like, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to do this. I'm going to get kicked off this airplane and it's going to turn my life around forever. But it's the only thing that makes sense is that she was bored and tired of her life. And she's like, I want to be an influencer and I think I know how to do it. Also, like, who are you people who are liking and engaging with this content? Like, her credentials is crazy. What has she done? Lose her mind. That's her credentials. She, like,
And you know the thing about it too. So we talked about how her first post was she was going to use this newfound fame to
to
help
help
fight
people with
mental
mental
issues.
mental health awareness, or
But this
to
is just her
improve
wearing a
mental.
hat.
Yeah, just
And to
hat
show
day.
how just showing how thirsty people are for her. And well, I mean, I keep bringing her up because it is hilarious
Well, at
how
this point it's
people
a
go
running joke.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it's a
is
running joke
exactly
at
that's
this
the
point
joke.
for us.
The tip
But I don't think
and
so. I wish that was true, Matt. But you see the comments. You read
yeah,
them just like I do. They're not all people laughing at her. Some of these people are with her. They like her. I thought I just
she
gotta
can
know
do no
why.
wrong.
It's not that you can do no wrong. I don't think she's at that level yet. But I'm just
Look at
like,
this. Look at I have this one top comment from Peppo Crypto, aka
mhm.
Pep Killer. Girl, stop playing with our emotions and tell us what you saw. And somebody commented Matt Sedaria, an opportunity for massive engagement with her social media, raising her position as a CEO of a marketing company for new heights. I don't know. Again, that's the part of this.
It's got to be that, right? It just has to be. Doesn't make any other sense. It just has to be that she did this to improve her own brand so she could make more money and gain more influence. Like that, there's nothing else that makes sense. She said that they were all going to die. She said that everyone on the plane was going to die. You know how scary that is?
I mean,
That's
yeah, that's
horrifying.
nothing to joke around with.
No. So it was about earbuds, and now she's wearing hats. We can't allow this. We can't just let this go.
Big Cat said
Pep Killer
retweeted and
was it
said
Pep
loved it.
Killer? That's what it
Yeah.
was. He's right. Don't toy with us. That we can't. We're not going to pretend it didn't happen. All right. We can't. And we're going to use this show for as long as we can. So we're not pretending that she didn't just say a whole plane was going to go down because imaginary people were on it. Like we got to get an answer to that. And it can be a stupid answer, but I haven't heard anything that made sense yet. If someone can explain to me how it had anything to do with earbuds, if you can sit here and you can tell me that, then I'll shut up. You're still wrong, by the way. It had nothing to do with earbuds. But if you can sit there and just spin a tale where she was clearly talking to someone she knew who stole her earbuds, she thought, if you can find a way to make that story fit what she said, then I'll shut up because you can't. She said that she's getting off the plane because he's not real. And everyone else can die on the plane if they want to, but she's not going to. You don't say that if you lost your headphones. You don't usually say anything if you lost your headphones other than, damn, I lost my headphones. Now I got to buy some more. Like, my headphones broke before the show.
They really
I didn't accuse Matt of being imaginary. I just put on a
you
different pair of headphones.
you have to do you're gonna have to go to a public place and scheme for it to get more engagement.
I can't. We cannot let her forget. Never forget what happened that day.
Never forget that
Never
day
forget the
either.
video. We can't let her forget the video. We have to keep asking until we get an answer that sounds at least plausible. Doesn't have to be true, just a better lie, because the lie we got doesn't make any sense.
You couldn't say it any better, Ryan. So I want to talk about one of my favorite people, Logan
Yeah.
Paul. Only this
Okay.
time about boxing, and
Yeah.
this time about some shit that's going down. So Logan Paul is going back in the squared circle again, not the wrestling squared circle, but the boxing one. So he's going in a boxing ring and he's going up against martial artist Dillon Danis on October 14th, 2023. As a main event alongside his business partner KSI is going up against Tommy Fury. Now, since this fight was announced, Dillon Danis has really trolled Logan Paul and his family, and he's getting outright personal. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, this is a WWE feud in real life, the way this is all getting portrayed. And the thing that set this all off and where Dillon really went for it. So he posted on Monday morning a video of his ex. Sorry, let me restart that. Dillon Danis on Monday, he posts
Mhm.
a video Monday morning of Logan's fiance, and he leaks this video. And I'm going to get vulgar. Let me tell you, everybody, and this is an actual headline from No Jumper. So Dillon Danis leaks a video of Logan Paul's girlfriend asking for someone to recommend her a big fat penis that could destroy her body. That is literally her words, not mine. So Dillon has been talking about Logan's fiance. They argued about it during the press conference about her promiscuity and rich and all of that stuff. And Logan Paul fought back. And yeah, this is getting nuts. A lot of people commenting on that on the internet. According to this article, Logan actually slammed Twitter troll Dillon Danis. In an interview with Misfits Boxing, Logan was asked about the ongoing situation between him, Nina, and Dillon, and Nina's his fiance. And he
Mhm.
said, quote, "I think he's gone too far. Yeah, it's not affected me, though. When I entered this fight, I knew Dillon was a scumbag," he said. And then he continued the quote, "I didn't think he'd take it as far as he did, but actions and consequences. I think he's going to get what's coming to him." Now, I might not like Logan Paul, the wrestler, but I will say this is why. I'm saying I'm actually going to defend Logan on this.
I can't believe I'm hearing this. We have to clip this for
Oh,
the next wrestling pod.
but yeah, like what did they do so bad to do this? I mean, especially especially when we want to break, if we want to look at the line between kayfabe and real fighting, and then we're now going to apply that to a boxing match.
So that's actually my first question, Matt.
Hmm.
I'll leave finish your thought. Is there
I'm
any shot that this is planned?
well. It seems that it seems the Paul boxing matches, the Paul brothers boxing matches, they really seem to be a little more entertaining than the usual. When you have Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali, they have the press conference and they go about their ways and train and have a respectful fight. As years have gone on, people are like throwing chairs at weigh-ins. People
Mm-hmm.
are already starting to throw fists, where it really is ridiculous. And
But so the Poles haven't really had that happen to them,
not too
right?
much, but they,
But they have these sort of things. They have these social media flare ups. They have these long drawn out campaigns where they're
mhm.
insulting their opponent, their opponents insulting them. So I just want to put that out there. Logan's a wrestler. Yeah, he is. Sorry, Matt. He's a real wrestler. So I'm gonna put my wrestling hat on for just another second before we retire for the rest of the show, I think. And say I think it's entirely possible that they are both in on this and that they are both aware of the attention that this is generating online. And so they are both going with it. I think it's entirely possible. Do I think that means the fight is fixed or anything? No, I don't. I don't think that's the way it works. I think that they're just doing this bit to drum up attention so more people buy the fight, because the more people buy the fight, the more they make. That's just a fact. That's how boxing works. The purse, is obviously the purse, but the people putting it on will continue to have larger sums and keep booking people in prominent roles if they make them money. So putting that aside, for just a second. What I don't know, he realized when he went even if if it's not real, then he certainly probably wasn't expecting this. And if it is real, like or rather reverse that. If this is real and they're not in on it together, he probably wasn't expecting this reaction. And if it isn't real and they are actually booking this, right, the two of them, they definitely weren't expecting this reaction. The amount of people online that are on Danis's side in this is insane. Like, let's be clear. He's the bad guy. He's slut shaming someone who's not in the fight. He is being way too personal, which is why I think this might be, they might be working this a little. And everyone's with him. They're all like, yeah, look at him. Like, they're like, roast him. And then, I mean, it's got to the point where, I mean, recently, I think today even, he was like, honestly, I'm doing this for Logan. He needs to know who his fiance is. And people are like, yeah, we agree. Like, people are bought in on this, like, on the way, like, treating this woman this way. And I don't think any of them expected this response to this. You know what I mean? Like, that everyone so collectively is just piling on, like, Logan's fiance right now is so insane to me because she's done nothing wrong. In the fight, I don't think she commented, and then also in life, she likes to, she likes. You saw the video.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's the only thing. She must have been some brave soldier. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna make this video to make me, have my parents and my grandmas and
Well,
have a
yeah,
heart
listen,
attack saying stuff like
yeah,
that.
like, I'll give you
Like
that. Like, don't
that
don't
that would
don't
be
make the video.
not the what was that?
Don't make the video. Like, don't record yourself saying any of that ever. Keep that
Yeah,
to inside thought,
that's
or
bad.
if you're in a room with people you trust and no one's filming and you want to say something like that, I suppose that's fine, right? But yeah, I wouldn't film that. I'll give you that. But she did film it. And the sentiment expressed, while vulgar, isn't bad per se. I just, it's crazy how many people are so on Dillon Danis' side with this. And also, what stinks is he could end up winning this fight.
Danis?
Yeah, Logan Paul. I mean,
I will
Logan's not
say
Jake.
if Logan loses that fight after this disrespect, then I, look, I
What do
guess
you
I'll put it out
do?
there. Well, I mean, is Danis can say you are my bitch to Logan.
Yeah, what do you do? This has happened. Like, you
Go,
can't
you
put it
could be
back
a
in the bottle.
weekly WWE wrestler. You have no choice, Logan, but you have to do it every week
Yeah,
now.
like, that's
He
it's
can't lose this
over.
fight.
You can't. Yeah, he cannot lose this fight.
He fought
Like,
Floyd Mayweather Jr. just because he's famous. Like,
right, but he lost that fight, but that makes sense. But he can't afford to lose this fight, at least not for the internet. I mean, listen, he's super rich. And if maybe he and his fiance really don't care and they'll go on to have nice, happy lives. But if he loses this fight, the internet will become unbearable for him. He will never
her
be
too,
allowed.
especially.
Well, yeah, her too. Yeah. He will never be allowed to be on the internet like ever again. No social medias. Googling his name is going to be a problem. Like, he is literally going to make it impossible for him to be online if he loses this fight. Those are the stakes. You talk about boxing needs more stakes, needs more storylines. Well, the Paul brothers, for all of their faults, they've added that because this is actually somehow a must-win fight in boxing with no championship, repercussions for this fight. You know what I mean? Like, this is not for anything, and yet somehow the stakes feel higher. I feel like
Right.
there's a marriage on the line in this fight. It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, I will say it's going to be very interesting, and Logan better win. Like you said,
I don't know
he
what he
will
does if he
be.
loses.
He will have to wrestle on a weekly basis. He will
I
have to grind it out.
on NXT.
Right?
Yeah, like, I don't know. He has to win.
That's going to be a fun one. That is going to be a fun one to watch. And there's this mogul. Oh, I won't say a mogul. There is this at one point, a big time Hollywood manager named Scooter Braun.
Oh yeah.
Scooter Braun represented some of the most famous people in the industry. and they're all leaving him at once, it seems. We have Justin Bieber planning to leave him. We have Idina Menzel leave him, Carly Rae Jepsen, Demi Lovato, Ariana Grande, J Balvin. Why is this guy who seemed to have one of the best rosters in the whole management game, yet they're all leaving him at once? And this has been happening for a couple weeks, and there's still no clear story. Now, I know people have come out and say Ariana Grande said I've outgrown him, and there have been other people saying they
Well,
just want something
she moves
new.
on fast. Ariana does. She moves on quickly from that. So I
Thank you.
suppose that's
Next.
possible. Thank you. Next.
But what is the deal with so many people leaving Scooter Braun at once?
I hate that I have to say this because I feel like we end up talking about the same things on this show every week. But Scooter Braun has a very well-known enemy,
Uh-oh.
and that well-known enemy has become possibly the most famous person currently on the planet, and her name is Taylor Swift.
Uh-oh.
Swifties will know.
Her name has been mentioned the most on this on these
Her and
tweetcasts.
Tiffany Gums. Um, and so Swifties, knowledgeable Swifties will know, or maybe less knowledgeable ones, I don't know, that Scooter Braun owned all of Taylor Swift's music. So this whole
The
re-record thing,
enemy.
this whole re-record thing that she's doing is anti-Scooter Braun. They're not friends. They're not aligned at all. And again, Scooter bought her originals, and that's why Taylor's been doing these re-records and all this stuff. So I don't know. I do think it's interesting that a very well-known enemy, very public enemy of Scooter Braun has recently, and I will say recently, become the most popular person on the planet. And suddenly a bunch of artists who are honestly a step below Taylor, just a step. Ariana Grande is big, Justin Bieber's big, right? Like, so these artists who are a step or two below Taylor are suddenly going away. I think that it's entirely possible that it could be they're worried about an association with someone that so many fans, like the overlap between these artists and Taylor Swift has to be massive because so many people are Taylor Swift fans now.
That's right.
And so they might just be worried that their association with someone that Taylor Swift does not like is going to make some of their fans not like them. I don't know if that's the case. He could have also like done something wrong. You know what I mean? He could have stole something or whatever. This is speculation. Just thinking about why would everybody leave at the same time? It could be like there's an investigation happening, and they all want out before the IRS comes in and says you haven't paid taxes in 14 years. You know what I mean? So like I think that's also like equally possible in this case. But I do find it interesting that Scooter has this very high profile enemy who has very recently become so famous that she can't even walk down the street anywhere in America without being swarmed. And I mean, there's a whole thing. There's actually a whole article about that in like the Atlantic or something today on Twitter. I read it,
Really?
but yeah, like
So
she
it
can't
was
even walk
Taylor
down the
Swift,
street. Oh no,
but
no, no, not about Scooter Braun. I'm
that. Oh
saying,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, she can't even walk down the street without being swarmed by a bunch of people. So I do think it's interesting the timing that Taylor becomes like
Beetle.
Beatlemania,
Yeah.
right? And suddenly everyone who's associated with this very public enemy that she has just decides to peace out. Like everyone, like it's I'd be hard pressed to call that a coincidence, but maybe, or again, maybe there's something
And
else that we don't know yet, and the federal government will arrest him soon enough, and then we'll know that it's because he's going to prison. And then it'll all make sense.
I'm gonna like your theory of Taylor. He did Taylor Swift wrong, and this is as the days have gone by. Taylor Swift being the most important person in the world.
Most famous
I
person in
don't
the world.
know. Important. I'll even go to say important the way she
I know you
she's
are
going every day.
famous.
Like I've seen their TikTok videos of people who look like her where people lose their mind. Like
They're
it's
making a Taylor Swift musical
the Taylor Swift the musical. Like I heard
about
about
her
like
house,
one about one of her albums, or are they going to
like
turn
one of
into
her
a
songs. It's what it's about, I believe.
the Taylor Swift?
And
It's
I think
really
we've
good.
talked about this on the show. And I'm just part of my whole defense against or my whole pitch with the Elvis and Michael Jackson. They both have Broadway shows, by the way.
Oh,
And now
she's
Taylor's
next.
gonna have one, right? And so that we're just slowly but steadily ticking away all of the things that I said in that pod. They were true when I said them, ladies
What
and
a
gentlemen.
difference a few months makes.
They
Now
were
the whole
true when
Eras
I
tour
said them.
didn't finish yet, which is confirmed to be the highest grossing tour of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And they haven't even
Good for
done a
Taylor.
second leg yet.
Good for no. I mean, they're in their second leg, right? Because they're in the international phase right now. So
Or
it's
yeah,
kind of
one of
the
those.
second. They
But
haven't done their
anyways,
second sweep through America yet.
yeah, that and like Europe and stuff. But anyways,
Yeah.
don't mess with Taylor or
I
you
think
will
it's
lose your
possible.
career.
I think it's possible.
Simple as
Scooter
that.
might have lost his career to Taylor Swift.
Damn. When that Taylor Swift musical happens, it's literally going to be bigger than Hamilton ever was, and that's saying something.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know. When we have
I
the
think there's something
she wears
we
those
still got to
skirts.
say this. There's still plenty of people who do not care for Taylor Swift's music.
I don't know, man.
I'm telling you, it's true. That
We're gonna have to
freaking
see.
song got to #1 on Billboard.
Oh, the
The
from
Richmond, north of Richmond.
because as a
They put
protest
it in
to
a
Taylor Swift.
Republican debate. No, I'm not. It's not a protest. But they made people who could. I mean, they're not going
They
to.
paid
But they
they
made
paid
people
off
who could
Billboard.
theoretically be the president of the United States talk about that song. And that guy had never released a song in his entire life before that. There are plenty
Yeah,
of people who do not care about Taylor Swift.
that is
There are
nuts.
plenty of people who do not care about Taylor Swift. So no, Hamilton, I think will still have it be, but it'll be something else. It'll be a spectacle, I'm sure. I've heard the concert's a spectacle, so
When they
that
sing,
makes sense.
when they have, I wonder what do you open the Taylor Swift musical with?
Well, so it's again, it seems like it's about this house, and there's a song that she
This
wrote about
house.
this house.
And it turns to
So
a whole Broadway musical in
yeah,
two
so
acts,
you would
an
think that they would
orchestra.
probably start with the song that Taylor Swift wrote about the house.
Let me look it up.
But
Taylor Swift house song.
no, it's not called House Song. It's called The Last Great American Dynasty. Is the name of the song.
That now that is the name of a miniseries.
Well, or a Broadway musical, right? But that's what the rumors have been. So
Unbelievable.
yeah.
Well, I'm sure this will
Also, for all
change
the people, by
everything
the way,
from the folklore
you know
album.
you folks who said I'm a hater. I don't like Taylor Swift. I'm the one who covers all of this. Matt got a Hannah Montana song. Check out that TikTok. I'm not a hater. I know what I'm talking about. I think we should clarify. Not a hater. I know what I'm talking about. And I would have nailed that test, by the way, Matt.
I clearly didn't, but I still have an opinion. All right, Ryan, why don't you share some of the stories you came up with?
Sure thing. I have a new one. Do you want me to use that? We didn't talk about
Yeah.
this before, so
Yeah.
okay. This literally just happened about like 2 hours ago.
Cool.
Eminem contacted performance rights organization BMI with the cease and desist letter to Vivek Ramaswamy's presidential campaign. Now, I'm not going to get into Vivek's politics. If you watched the debate, you know who Vivek is. But he was before the debate. He was best known for rapping "Lose Yourself" at the at the Iowa State Fair.
The Iowa State
when he was speaking to the voters of Iowa, he did a rendition of a little bit of "Lose Yourself," and this is not the first time he's done this. He's done this a few times, where he instead of doing a campaign speech, he just raps "Lose Yourself." Eminem has finally found out about it, and basically he said he'll consider any performance of Eminem works by the Vivek 2024 campaign from this date forward to be a material breach of contract, and he'll be in a lot of trouble if he does that. So Vivek has to figure out the rest of his stump speech now, because if he doesn't, Eminem's gonna sue him. And I think that's just really funny. Can you imagine being so annoying that Eminem pays attention to politics? There's no way he actually pays attention that often to what's going on in the world. He's Eminem. But he paid enough attention to Vivek to be like, we're not doing this. And I thought this was very funny. That Eminem came off the sidelines to protect his music. But also, I think it's very interesting. We were talking earlier about, obviously the presidency and whatnot. But a guy who could theoretically be president of the United States showed up in Iowa and just started rapping.
I have no comment on that.
No comment. That's where we're at, though.
With our crazy candidates out here.
Yeah, we're just rapping away.
Mm.
Lose yourself.
Trying to get hip, trying to have the young people interested in us. And you have Eminem of all people saying, "Don't play my music." And he really had. If the very early Eminem has some very harsh lyrics, but he didn't use that.
Yeah, like it's just crazy.
He didn't rap. You
no,
don't
he did.
want to fuck with Shady, cause Shady. Well, you.
Yeah, he didn't. It was not any objectionable lyrics or anything like that. To be clear, it was, the beginning of Lose Yourself. But I don't know. I just found that to be so crazy that well, yeah, that Eminem stepped in.
You're not gonna win president.
Guaranteed
he will not get the nomination because of this
and
other things. Yes,
well, I think the other things are that he's not, currently winning.
I think in history, if you're a candidate for the president and you have silly nonsense PR stories, the various silly PR nonsense stories, you are not going to get it. You are not getting that nomination. No. If you're what's his name? Not Gary Clark, the guy who was promiscuous in the late 80s.
Oh, Gary Hart.
Gary Hart. If you want to, cheat on your wife, get caught doing that, you're not going to get president. If you want to be Jeb Bush and, get humiliated by Trump, you're not going to win. Seriously, you don't want awkward PR stories while running for president.
No, I agree with
you. You will guaranteed loss. And here's another example of this guy because he rapped "Lose Yourself."
Well, I think
literally the most. You could literally say the most famous song of the 2000s. Hands down. Some people literally argue it's one of the most famous pop songs since 2000 and maybe top 10 ever. It is a good lyric, timeless song about not giving up. You could play that to anybody.
Yeah, no, I mean again, it wasn't a
and
bad
he ruined it for
choice.
Himself.
I mean he did. So he's a young guy. I will say that he's 38. So it's not like some old senator was doing it. But
you better lose.
Which
yourself.
Actually might be funnier had it been like Mitch McConnell. But yeah, I just saw that come through right when we were getting on. I was like, oh, that's crazy. But yeah, that was one of the ones that I had. Also, did you hear that the newest conspiracy theory about Meta? Or not conspiracy theory, but they're being blamed for the Canada wildfires.
Why is that?
Well, so again, not necessarily starting the fires, but Canada has a new rule in place. I don't know if you know this, where Meta and like Twitter and everybody has got to pay publishers if they use their information. So like if you wrote something like for the news and then Meta has it on their site, Facebook, obviously, then they have to pay you. And so Meta has just said, nah, we're just not going to show the news in Canada. So they just stopped showing all news in Canada. And so then these fires happened and no one can go on their phone to check what's happening because there's no news in Canada. You have to be on a TV screen to see it. You can't see it from your social media feeds. So a bunch of people didn't really know what was going on. They weren't able to like look for community updates through the news because all of the news was completely blocked from being submitted, on these on Meta sites in Canada. And so Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, is quite upset about this. He's blaming Meta for the wildfire, like the devastation of the wildfires. And I wanted to bring this story up specifically not because I care that much about, the inner workings of Canadian legal stuff, but we, obviously we've seen a lot of changes happen to Twitter, X, here in our country as well. And do you think, this is a hypothetical question I want you to answer, do you think there will come a day where Elon just decides to turn Twitter off for some people. Just says, yeah, you don't get to see what's on Twitter.
Yeah, I do
Not like
think
a
of that.
block, not like necessarily like, oh, so and so is blocked. That's like too individual. I mean, like Elon just says, yeah, I've decided,
Look at these
anyone who goes,
drastic changes he's made that nobody asked or needed. Of course, I'm sure there'll be people that he may censor like that, and
like so, like
hopefully it's not us.
ever a day where they're like, everyone who goes to UC Berkeley just can't use Twitter today. Like, could you see that happening?
Yeah,
I feel like I
I'm
could
sure.
too.
I'm sure on whenever the day comes where that could happen, it is going to.
I think
Wouldn't be
that's
surprised.
isn't that so crazy? One person. I mean, we talked about this too, actually. Ronan Farrow's piece about Elon Musk. One
Yeah,
person's just
which hasn't gotten as much traction as I thought it would.
no, because he's too strong.
So
That's
you
kind of the
think?
point of the
By the way,
piece.
the story that Ronan Farrow talked about Elon Musk's alleged ketamine addiction and
Well, he
wrote in the
talked
New
about more
Yorker,
than that, but
right? But you think it's not getting shared as much because he knows, damn, he got it right.
yeah, no, absolutely. That's why, and that's why I asked if we thought that he would ever turn off the site to people he didn't like, and the fact that the answer is like, of course he would. He's in charge of everything. He does like defense systems. He keeps like the phones working in Ukraine right now. Like all of our space stuff is through him. Apparently, turns out. Who knew?
So we can
Like,
really say that Elon Musk is the most powerful person in the world.
yeah, I know me. When you say about Taylor Swift, I say no, but I think that's right. I think Elon might be the most powerful person in the world. And so, like, we just, we saw like this one scenario, right, where, you know, a social media company that wasn't even run by him created all this confusion while, a bunch of Canada was on fire, right? And can you imagine, like, we have an election coming up, we have problems happen in this country every now and again. Um, if Elon could just be like, nah, we don't get to see the news. You know what I mean? He could
Mm-hmm.
just decide one day, and then it's over. The TweetCap, we wouldn't have anything to talk about because he'd turn it off. He'd be like, I don't like Matt and Ryan. They were mean to me one time. The YouTube comment section said so. And we just lose access because Elon decided. That feels like it shouldn't be, right? Or am I crazy for thinking that?
Don't give him any ideas.
Oh no, I don't think he'll do us. We're not. We're nice enough to Elon, I think. We didn't think he'd win the fight. We were mean to him about the fight.
Right.
The fight that will never happen. But other than that, we've been, I think, plenty fair to Elon Musk. I'm just
Oh yeah.
saying,
No, I think
it's
so too.
crazy. And that Ronan Farrow piece, check it out if you haven't seen it. It is online. It's not taken down or anything. But
But
I
on the
really
New
do
Yorker
think,
website.
yeah. Well, I think that, like that, those like shadow bans that they do, where they like just
Mm-hmm.
completely like they take the momentum behind the post and just throw it away. I
Yep.
wouldn't be surprised if they did that on that one, like, because you're right, no one was talking about it.
Yeah, and there's some pretty big revelations there, but
Yeah,
you'll have to talk about it, I guess, on the street with
he
so
talks to Putin.
yeah. And
He just has meetings with Vladimir Putin. Elon does.
and we're not gonna know. At least
It's
we're not
crazy.
gonna have a larger discussion about it, I should say.
No, again, just crazy to me that one guy has got all of that power. But I guess that's the benefits of being rich, right? You can you can do what you want.
Yep. That's the one, I think. And Elon Musk, please come on the show one day. We'd love to have a productive conversation with you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff, Ryan. I think we have
Hmm.
time for one more story, maybe two quick ones. You have any other ones quick to share before I that?
No, you could jump into yours.
Cool, cool. The last thing I want to discuss before and we could wrap it up as we're about to hit the 1 hour mark. So we like to talk about media and streaming and everything. ESPN was a network that so many people were attached and loved and would always go to for their sport and news. And as the years have gone by, as the development of iPhones and streaming and social media grew, the influence of ESPN got smaller and smaller.
Mm.
And it's going to the point where ESPN is having a hard time trying to be relevant in the national picture. Now, they'll always have a platform and they'll always have a voice, especially just having Monday Night Football alone is huge for them.
Yeah.
But according to Eric Fisher of Front Office Sports, Amazon is in active talks to becoming an equity partner for ESPN. The deal would center on streaming with a direct to consumer version of ESPN that will make it available at one of the highest costs among streaming services. And yeah, so there could be a chance that Disney, who owns ESPN, might be selling off assets to Amazon. And there's also been other reports that Apple might be interested in taking on ESPN as well. So we know with Disney having a lot of issues amongst the two strikes between actors and writers, the visual effects employees agreed to unionize. People are mad at the constant woke remakes. People are feeling they don't have that flair or influence that they once had. And now they might be starting to, and they had massive layoffs, by the way, this year too.
Mm.
So on top of this, where you just signed Pat McAfee, but also kicked off some of your other big personalities, that ESPN might be changing hands. What do you think this represents in the zeitgeist of things for ESPN, how we get our sports in, how we get our sports content and all that other stuff?
So firstly,
or also add to that, or is it Disney? Are we seeing something of Disney possibly declining? I've heard crazy stories that people said Disney would sell them off. There's no way Disney would get a parent company. Now that's just hearsay.
Yeah, okay. I'll just jump in. Yeah, so half of this sounds like just a Ron DeSantis fucking meth meth dream. The woke movies are selling off ESPN. No, forget the nonsense about the movies. The movies are fine. They're for children.
Well, they're bad movies.
Well, yeah, no, they're not. They're not good movies, but they're fine. They're for children. But anyway, I don't think this is Disney going into decline because of necessarily their content. Although their content could be better, it certainly isn't that good. I think that this is. I think this might be Disney trying to hunker down a little bit, make some money, and see if they can't wait out their pesky little writers and actors. See who needs to
now,
pay
of course,
the
also the other studios are doing the same thing, but it seems that Disney specifically has gotten the most heat out of all the big studios out there. Obviously your Warner Brothers, your Netflix.
Well, I think it's because of how vocal Bob Iger was.
Yes.
You know what I mean? He stepped in it by kind of becoming the face of the studios, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else just shut up. I mean, they're like also they're also not going to pay anybody, but they'll just be quiet about it. He was the only one who wanted to talk for some reason.
Yeah, like your Ted Sarandos didn't say anything, or
yeah, you could technically say maybe he was talking because he thought he could bring people to the table. Like benefit of the doubt, he's the only one talking. Maybe it's because in his heart of hearts he thought he could convince folks to see his side and they could end the strike. But I think it might be just because he likes to hear himself talk more than anything. Yeah, so in terms of that, like I think that's definitely a possibility. But also, I think it's so interesting. Whenever we have these talks, right? It's those are the same two names every time. Apple and Amazon. WWE just got sold not long ago. We talked about it at the time. Those two names are right there at the top of the list. Like, no matter anytime anyone buys anything, and I still don't get why we keep buying everything. Like, why does Apple need to own one of everything, or Amazon need to own one of everything? Like, you know what I mean? Save some for the rest. It was middle school at the water fountain. Take it too long, and the kid behind you be like, "Save some water for the fish." Yeah. This is one of those. Jeff Bezos, Tim Cook. Save some water for the fish. But I don't know. I think that you told me the price point is going to be prohibitively high. I don't understand who would pay for it. I mean, I guess ESPN is like the premier place to watch sports, like Sunday Night Football, etc. So if you're a
Yes,
big,
and their college football influence, and there is a whole other world out there
mhm,
in our country, and the middle America, and not the LA and New York bubbles. Other people go to ESPN right away. I think it makes
right.
about 40% of the market in general, but still, there's definitely a time where it was higher. And other like our demographic has other places to get their
Well,
sports
and so
content.
that kind of goes to my point of what does this serve? So you just made an interesting point that there's 40% of the market is ESPN, right? Like that for some people, and we're stipulating that it's the middle of the country. I don't know necessarily if that's true. I think it might be
Mm.
older folks more than
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, that's
Um,
basically referring to.
yeah, and again, it might be also more concentrated out west or Midwest versus the two coasts, right? But I think ultimately it's probably just older folks. Um, but by making it prohibitively expensive, um, I mean you're going to lose people that you're not going to cut us out. We weren't watching anyway. We're going to continue to
Yeah,
use the
right.
free sources. Like I mean Barstool, and we've talked about Dave Portnoy and Barstool and everybody on this a bunch of times, right? But Barstool is very good at sports coverage. They just are, and they're free. It's
Hmm.
free. Barstool is free. And Barstool makes money because it's also very good at advertising. By the way, like I drank Pink Whitney for a bunch of summers. I loved High Noon. You know what I mean? I still drink it. Like they're good at advertising. They have good products that their demographic is into, and they advertise the crap out of them, and they make a bunch of money. So like that, you only thing you're doing is taking the folks, like you said, that middle America or the older folks who are already kind of not into this streaming thing, and you're
No, they're
making them
not.
not only stream but stream for what, like $30 you said?
So yeah, the prices could range between $25 to $35,
Yeah.
which
So
is sorry, 20 and 35.
yeah, so you're not a big stream person, right? You maybe have Netflix. If you're, a mother, if you're a married couple and you're like your mid 50s out in, Michigan, right? And so you already don't do a lot of streaming. Now you have to add another streaming service to watch your sports that you usually go to. You're basically taking it and putting it behind a paywall when you already don't have enough people watching accordingly to them, right? you, they should be trying to make it more visible, trying to get it to go viral, trying to get more eyeballs on the product if they're worried about that. I just don't see how this makes them more money. I think it just prices some of their current customers out. And also, it gives, there's a technology gap that some of their current customers are not going to get past. If you're old and now ESPN, you have to use your, iPhone to do it. You don't have an iPhone. So you're not
Yeah,
streaming it. So you're just not watching it. You know what I mean? They're not going to, if you're 70, you're not going to learn how to use an iPhone to watch ESPN. You're just going to stop watching ESPN. So I don't know who this is for.
what do these executives talk about in these meetings?
Well, yeah,
Haha, let's
they must
screw
see
these
something.
people up. We only want the rich people. Ha 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 ha. Give me my money sandwich, please.
Money sandwich. No, I mean obviously they're seeing some numbers that they think are good for them. I don't know what those numbers are, but it just instinctually rather, that's that would seem opposite of what they need. It seemed like making it more expensive to get would be a problem. The only reason you would do that is if you had so many people watching that you're like, we can get most of these people to come on board for more money and then make more money. Like that makes sense. If you're at 80% of the market, if everyone uses you and you're like, most people come to us first, they come to us right away. So we're gonna charge them to do that. And they're gonna come with us because most of them are so used to coming with us that they don't know what else to do. Then sure. But if you're only at 40%, you're going to lose people from your 40%. Like a price increase will always lose some people. So if you have 80, you lose some people, but you're making more off the people who stay. That's great. But if you're only at 40 and then you're losing some people, now you're at what, 35%? I mean, that's a third, but that leaves. I mean, if you can get two-thirds now, you could easily get overtaken at a third. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm probably gonna look them up after, but like there's got to be other sources close to a third that could overtake them if they lose too many people, right? And so it just doesn't make sense to me. And also, why do we got to make everything so expensive? Like, between all the streamers already, you're already paying more than you probably would have paid if you just kept cable. At this point, it's not cheaper. You're only getting streaming because that's where the shows are released now. Like good
Yeah,
television and good content's on streaming. So you end up you're paying more than you would have if you just kept your cable, but at least the shows are good. But now you're gonna
and
make
that's
everything
why we
30
have a
bucks.
strike. That's why
Well,
we
yeah.
have two strikes. And man, I also was reading about how the actual production, like the other unions, their deals with the studios, like studio carpenters and
Yeah.
electric and lighting, they're up for a strike next year. And yeah, serves them right that they suffer from this a little bit. And until the day somebody truly understands and snaps out of this just heinous, selfish, and greedy attitude, we're going to continue to keep fighting until somebody snaps or acknowledges how dumb they are
Do you
in
think we're
this
gonna get
situation.
movies this winter?
Oh yeah, there'll be plenty of movies. Just won't get promoted. That's the
Oh
only
no, that's
thing.
not sorry, that's not meant. I mean, do you think we'll hit the point where we don't have anything in the can
Oh,
when
they'll
the strike?
always. I think that day would be a very very long time. I still think that would take a few years to have absolutely nothing to show. Like they would probably, the editors are still getting paid. They could just sum up something, say here's this episode or here's this movie, good or not. Um, but I don't think we'll get that scarce. But if we do, that would actually be interesting. I would
It
love
would
to
be
see
interesting.
that type of panic, but
I'd hate to
I don't
see
know.
it, but it'd be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they'll get that desperate.
Hmm. Interesting.
What
Okay.
about you?
I don't know. I mean, I don't obviously. Yeah, I guess they can change their release schedule, right? Stretch it out longer. Um, but I don't know. Like,
Hey,
doesn't sound like they have really done any talking to one another, either side.
yeah, they
Doesn't
love
sound
to
like
talk
they're
to the
trying.
press, but not
Yeah,
to each other.
it sounds like they're both trying to win a PR war. When realistically speaking, how does that end?
Neither
What is the
side,
end?
honestly.
Yeah, who wins in that? You have a PR war, right? And I mean, I hate to say this because obviously you want to pay your workers, right? And I'm definitely pro the strike theoretically, right? Out, not even theoretically. In reality, I'm pro the strike because they should be getting paid more. The
Yeah,
studios make plenty of money,
same here.
but the way that this is going, without any sort of negotiations happening, like no one who I don't see how the actor's gonna an actor could win this fight if it really just went down to the mat and in Netflix and Disney and Amazon said, I got plenty of money. You said it
Hmm.
yourself. I'm super rich. We'll see what happens. Like, and they just slow roll what they have to keep their content. Like, how do the actors win that fight? They can't, right?
No,
They
I
basically
think.
need somebody, Amazon, Apple, Disney. They need one of them, one of the studios, to just cave and accept their demands
Mhm.
because then everyone can start working there. And to be competitive, everybody else is going to have to accept at least most of the demands to try and get talent. But if they don't do that, like if they all stay together, meaning the studios in their own little collective action,
Mhm.
I don't. The
It's gonna
actors
be hard.
physically can't win with the tactic they're doing because we can hate the studios forever. We're not going to stop watching TV. No one's going to stop
Yeah,
watching
right.
TV. Like, come on, let's just be real. No one, you could be pro actor, pro writer. You're still gonna watch Netflix, even if you don't watch a new Netflix stuff because they stopped making it. You're gonna watch all your favorite old shows from Netflix. You're gonna watch, reruns of The Office or Friends or The West Wing or Parks and Rec or whatever. Like, you're gonna watch TV. You're gonna consume content. So they're still gonna make money. They're not gonna lose anything. Meaning the studios, especially streamers like Netflix. That's a monthly subscription. The money's locked in unless you quit Netflix.
Right. I think I always thought once the summer ends, like this
Mm-hmm.
was a convenient time to start a strike. The actors don't have to use their nannies. They can actually hang out with their kids, but once the kids have to go back to school, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have nothing to do. let's figure out this strike now.
You think
Um,
so? So this is
I
the
think
first
I
week of
think
school. So
yeah, I think I noticed a lot of for instance, like a lot of reality shows are going in primetime spots that new content would be in. Like the
hmm
show Big Brother is on CBS. It
okay.
was it's a summer show, but it's a fall show this year. It
hmm
ends in November. Um, I saw something else. Like I saw a lot of these shows end in November. Maybe that's when they project a deal could be made for the
Gotcha.
holiday season. And I don't know. We talked about how actors say it, how execs one exec went out and said, "We don't care. We will do this until you are on the streets." There was Billy Porter, obviously a big deal.
hmm
He claimed that he's losing his house. Now, of course, that's horrible. The
Yeah.
only thing is, how do I say this? It's like,
I
all right, you
remember
lose
in the
your house,
union.
but you pretty much you're a very wealthy person. I think you'll be fine.
Certainly very
Basically,
famous. Yeah.
you're still an A-lister.
Yeah.
It's the more of the people who are still trying to make it and becoming legitimately homeless. You need to hear more of those stories. I don't know if it make a difference or not, but um, regardless, this is still going to drag on. I think at least till November, and
Well, that's
then
what's.
we'll ultimately see how this
Yeah.
fall goes. People will
Uh,
be
d-
distracted by the NFL.
well, exactly. Sports is there, but you said
Yeah.
reality. But that's just so interesting because in a lot of unions, right, the union is just the workers, and the workers are all relatively compensated about the same, right?
Mhm.
In this union, there is massive. I mean, there are one percenters in the union. Like, there's massive wealth disparity within the writers and actors unions,
Right.
and so you'll hit the point where you said the up and comers, the new guys, the people who are taking bit roles and things like that on TV shows or whatever, they lose their house. But like the Matt Damons, The Rock,
Hmm.
Leo DiCaprio
And that's
will
why no
not.
offense to these no offense to these actors who are making great points, but it's hard to take them seriously because you truly will not be affected by the strike. Only your
Those,
work
yeah,
schedule for
right.
those
Those actors
specifically.
will,
Yeah.
but the younger. So there will maybe come a time when within the Actors Guild, the younger actors and the younger writers are like, guys, we tried, but we need to get back to work, or we're leaving the profession and we won't be able to come back
Right.
because we have to move on. And the leadership of the Actors Guild, I mean, I shouldn't say that. Fran Drescher is not an A-lister at the moment, really, right? But you have to assume that A-listers carry a lot of sway in the Actors Guild. Um,
Hmm.
so like top echelon of this guild is going to be hunkered down, ready for a fight because they've all gone very public about it. You know?
Yeah, I do. But again, we'll ultimately see how this fall works. And
Yeah.
now that everyone's back to school. But I think that's gonna wrap it up for us today, Ryan. We killed it
I think
once
so.
again. Great stuff as always. And we'll actually see you on Friday. Next Friday. Starting
Yes.
we're gonna see you on Friday starting next Friday. So it
And
should be
hopefully
really good.
next Friday we will have a lighter week than we have this week to recap. Hopefully we'll have fun stories, or at least a few more fun stories. Heavy week this week, but all very important news. Hopefully everyone learned a little something about Canadian wildfires and
Hmm.
unions and whatnot. I had fun, so
I have a good feeling your wishes are gonna come true here. But thank you again, Ryan, and we'll see you soon.
see ya.